and I will go to the map. So here's the map. The 8-inch line goes here, all the way down to here. So that's what is that, 158 to the brook bank. The 12-inch line goes to the school and to the fire station. I think that's here.
Yeah, no, it's Station 9.
Yeah, I think it's right here. So it's about a 4,000. 4,000 reduction in line to go from 8 to 12 in a 45K design. Now, they have also said too that any additional changes after this point is going to, obviously it's going to be expensive, and it puts the whole project at risk of meeting it as on time. I know in the Wooten study and the Timmons study, when it referenced Reedsville, it did mention a larger line with another authority. So I think that last council meeting, Janelle mentioned a potential for expansion when the funds came available for fire. But that's what I have. That's some of the questions that's been asked of me and some of the information that I got from Freezing Nichols and meeting with the chief.
Can I ask
Any questions?
A couple questions. While you were talking, you said this is the plan for the future. And so I'm asking you, what is it that you're planning for in the future? Like what is your long-term look here as far as what you're going to do? You said right now it's for fire suppression. So my question is what is the long term? Is it just for fire suppression? I mean, there are a lot of folks who have said over the years and said recently that this is a thinly veiled attempt to make a potable water system. And I think that's honestly, if it's going to be a potable water system, it's going to need to be probably 12 inches because it's going to be expensive later on to go back and change all that stuff. I think it's very expensive, and you all probably know more about it than I do. It's not anything I do, but
Well, you wouldn't have to go replace the 8 with the 12. You would just make changes.
I mean, isn't this what the previous council, isn't this what the previous council wanted and they voted for, and then we changed it?
The previous council, it was at 12, and then it was at 8.
So we're voting to change it back
Back to 12.
exactly how it was before we did. Is that the crux of the matter?
I don't think
You don't think that's, would you tell me a little more? Because I don't know if I understand everything.
the line was 12 and the tank was like 320, and you guys rather still staying with a smaller tank.
Do we need to go with the
Which that, I don't know how Freezing Nichols says that works with a 12-inch line, but the 12-inch line is what others have said we need to tie on to. Someday it will not be a line that we are charging, it's a line that will be charged from some other water source. So it would make sense to match what they're saying. Our requirement is that we're not spending money now, that it's not as good as it can be going into the future.
But it definitely was 12 by the prior council, and 8 by prior council.
No.
Yes, but me and Reese changed it to 8. I promise you, I know I remember the meeting. Me and Reese were sitting in the meeting when we changed it to 8. I know.
I think we talked about changing it to 8, but I don't think it was changed.
When he came on, it was already at 8.
No, he changed it to 8.
Yeah, I think we changed it.
We all changed it to 8.
We changed it like February.
And Mr. Dogg, you were anxious to get moving, and I was trying to push it a little bit.
Okay, maybe, I'm wrong. I'll go back and look at notes, but I thought that,
The only thing that's different now, I think, is the size of the tank.
And are you wondering if that's a bad thing?
Well, everybody wanted a smaller tank, and the tank is just for from here to whenever someday comes when we tie on to something. So, I would say you could go, if Freezing Nichols says you can, I would say you could go with a smaller tank, but it's really a responsible thing is to put 12 inches in the ground for future I think that's the best thing for the future.
But the tank is not just until we tie on to another town. We still have to have the tanks even if we tie on to another town.
Now we have to have a tank.
Either way, even if we tie to another town, we still have to have the tanks.
Mr. Clay, as you mentioned,
Yeah, we have to have
Well,
750,000.
that's why I'm asking,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, I don't know on that. I know
And that's
before,
something,
we were looking at the biggest tank and the biggest line to make the biggest impact for preparation for the future.
this is a lot of stuff. I appreciate you looking at all these things. And my question next is, you talked about the tank size. Before we go any further, so I'm not a big fan of water in general. I think, anyway, that aside, if we're going to do the water system, if we are going to do it, then I think we probably do need to do what you're saying, what Mayor Sessom is saying. What about the tank size? Does it need to be
Freeman
10?
Nichols, when we asked that, they said that for our town, we're going to need more than one tank. That you would need a 750 or higher gallon tank to even encompass all of Summerfield.
And
So they recommended that the next time you get funding, if you're going to tap into another water source, to start having those partnership and conversations with those other water authorities and include another tank in that funding, because you're going to need it to encompass all of Summerfield.
And so,
Now,
Mayor-
we can use this potentially for a new development. Maybe they need to tap into it. I don't know. But right now, it's fire suppression.
but when you said future use, and I said, failed attempt at potable water is what a lot of folks think. Mayor Sessom said to, in the future, when we're hooked up to somebody else, is that what you're saying too, that this eventually will be for potable water?
In my opinion, if this stays fire suppression and it helps us save lives for the rest of my life out here in Summerfield, that's a great day. I don't want to impact anyone's 60 bells, and I definitely do not want to force anybody to pay into a water authority. Absolutely, I'm being crystal clear on that one.
But that is what we're trying to
But
set this project up to. I forget about that for a second, I understand that. But I just want to be very open and honest with everybody. It could be said,
I'm sorry, Mayor.
it's just, I'm just asking Mr. Clay,
We have to design this thing with the potential of it being potable water, otherwise we don't get our funding.
so you are setting up with the potential of being potable water, and that's one reason why I asked to go to 12 inches.
What were you going to say, John?
I think from the very beginning, when it first came out, this fire suppression, I think that you can't say that it's for fire suppression. That eventually, sometime down the road, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, it's going to turn over to potable, however you can say it. I think while we're doing this, we have to plan that that's what's going to happen, because who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We're one of the largest cities on wells and septics, and it's not going to take much for something to destroy, the water that we have. And it would be, I think it would be, I can't think of the right word. Irresponsible of us to put something in the ground that can't be changed eventually. I don't want it. I don't want it.
That's where I'm at. I don't really want this, but since we're here and we're doing it, I think I'd rather have it at 12. I just want to make sure that, Mayor Sessom said about the tank size, I just want to make sure we're doing that right too, because it doesn't make sense to do, okay, we're going to do this right, but not the other part right. So,
I think what I heard, when I was a part of it, we never talked to Freeman Nichols about a smaller tank with a bigger line. So I don't know the answer to that question.
all right, well, I mean, if you think this is what we need to make sure that this is going to be usable for whatever comes in the future, then I will vote with it, even though I'm not a fan of the project.
We're not putting lines towards connecting to another town at this point. We're just making a loop in Summerfield for fire protection. If we were gonna go portable someday, we'd have to add lines to connect to Rockingham, or connect to Winston, or whatever. We're not doing that right now. Right now, we're just making a loop for fire suppression. But that loop could someday go towards connecting to another town if needed.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of questions about it, but now's not the time, because we are just talking about this modification. So,
Well, it's like the 50-year forecast. I want to stay on my well. You probably want to stay on your well. You want to stay on your well. You do too. But at some point in time, if we continue to grow at a 10% rate per year, we need to protect those aquifers that are underground. So it may be at a certain time down the road, that's 30 years, 40 years, whatever that number, I have no idea what that number is. Then you have the capability of putting in additional 12-inch lines to connect to another town or city so that you can protect the underground aquifers for whomever's been here, and the additional growth will have, and commercial would have to log in there for potable water.
Well, I mean, I think there should be another well study at some point. I mean, we've had a couple in the past, you know, what was it, Timmons and all them. When was the last time we had a study?
You mean of aquifer?
Yeah, just to
All
see-
it is, aren't they guessing? They're guessing.
Yeah, but when was the last time?
With Mr. Couch's project not being in Summerfield anymore, it's very likely we do this with fire suppression, and this lasts for my lifetime.
Thank you.
And let me
That's
just,
my guess.
and let me
But
ask,
it's not a pressing issue now,
Gotcha.
because we don't need water for his project. We're Summerfield, he's not. So, there's not a pressing need now for us to change.
But it has
And our growth rate has been very nominal. Since I've been involved in 2012, it's been very nominal. So we're not growing at a rapid rate.
Did the fire chief not recommend to us though that we need water
For fire?
I
Does he
think
support
anytime-
that?
Water for fire?
Well, I mean, fire chief's always been,
Right.
I mean, it's,
I think any firm is going to say, y'all take them.
Yeah, so, I mean,
yeah.
if we can make a system and we can get the government to help and the grants to help pay for it so that he could get water to the outlying neighborhoods quicker, faster, safer, then why would we not do that?
Somebody make that motion.
I feel like there's enough desire to go 12-inch in the big tank. And it mattered to me when I saw that that's what Oak Ridge did. They did 12. So I'm okay with going 12-inch and big tank. I think.
And a big tank, bigger tank?
I do. I think it doesn't matter, either way, as it's described to us, we're gonna need 750,000 gallons of holding for pressure. So whether we do 150 now or 300 now,
Yep.
if we're going big with the water lines, I don't mind if we go big with the tank. We don't have to fill it all the way. We can just fill it enough to use it now, but if we wanna go big, if that's what a lot of you guys want, I can compromise on that.
But I think I heard Mr. Clay say that no matter what we do, we've got to put another tank in.
Yeah.
This one will suffice, the smaller tank will suffice. We're just gonna, when we put the next tank in, we'll have to accommodate.
750 is what we're gonna have to get to. So if we start with 150 now, we got 600, it'd have to be two more 300,000 gallon tanks. Or we start with the 300 now and then we, it just has to equal 750 in the end.
And you heard Brian from Freeze Nichols say that, this is a strategic plan, that you don't just go and say, okay, now I'm putting 750 here. It could be a tank here in the north, a tank in the south, but that's something that you work with another authority, another water authority on.
No, not if we do our loop in Summerfield, we still have to have one on the other end out towards Station, out by Lake Grant area, we're still gonna need one out there.
So, again, I'm no hydrogeologist by no means, I'm just telling you what they shared, and that is you can continue the lines, 8, 12, whatever, with the tank that you have right now, and take it through Summerfield. You're not gonna get every homeowner, but you can absolutely extend the line that you have.
So you're saying you want to do 12-inch and keep the tank at 150?
I am not, by person, no, I am not on board with increasing the tank size.
Okay.
And that's another $550,000, it's another $500,000. We're already at the highest budget we've ever had this town. I agree with Mr. Doggett, we start small, you put something in place and you always have the opportunity to expand.
So John, you're thinking 12-inch with a 150 tank? Okay, I can go with that.
I have one question, because I know the fire chief came back again, I think, a second time, and talked about fire hydrants. And with the map that's in our packets, what you have up there, I know that he wanted one, it's my understanding, he wanted one at the fire department, one at the tank, and then potentially one sort of near the elementary school, Summerfield Elementary, and that would be Summerfield Road, but on the map, I'm counting
Here, I'll show you.
actually more, and so I wanted to know where the 12-inch lines
Okay,
stop.
right there's one
And that is
at the school.
at Revolution, okay, you're on 150, that's Revolution Academy.
And then you got another one right there.
That's at Brisbane,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Another one at the tower itself.
yes,
Another one right there, which is across.
that's Madeiras,
Okay. Another one, I think it's right
close to
there.
the school,
Yeah. And then
at the firehouse.
at the fire, yep.
Okay, so those other two at the bottom of the map don't count right now, because of the 12-inch lines make it shorter.
That's correct. Yeah,
Well, the
it's basically
12-inch line can be yellow, blue, or green, it just depends which direction you want to go. Do you want to go further towards Oak Ridge, or do you want to go further down Summerfield Road?
Personally, I'd rather go closer to 73,
Yeah,
because I know that direction, there's.
So then you're looking at blue or red. No, red is 8. So then you're looking at the blue one, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm looking at 7 hydrants.
No, but I'm talking about which color line we're gonna do. We can either go this way or that way. That's what they're showing us with the yellow, the blue, and the green. So the blue goes more towards Oak Ridge and not as far down Summerfield Road.
But does it go down to the fire department
No, yellow goes to the fire station.
and stops at the fire station?
Yep, and then goes to the school, charter school.
Okay, then I would.
That's what I would think too, so we get some water at
Yep.
least to the.
So, yes, you got, you have to the academy to the fire station.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Now, Chief, I think Chief did say he is okay with, he just needs hydrants at the tower and at the station. He doesn't need those ones in between along down Summerfield Road.
Those are already on the plan.
So we're gonna keep
We're
them?
going to keep.
Okay.
Does he have enough turnaround?
He would want to place
placed
where those are.
Yeah,
He placed those?
I like it. So we're.
That doesn't really save any money if you took those out.
No.
Right, I just, okay.
And even with any changes in cost, it's still, I think we all, I mean, we're not, 6.6 is the budget.
Right.
So that, if there's a little bit extra design cost, that just might come a little bit off of feet in the ground pipe, but not extra that we're willing to pay. Our budget's still 6.6.
When I talked with Joanna, this is the design stuff. So there was some savings on the multi-leg spider, right?
Yep.
And there was something else that there was a savings to. I can't remember quite what it was at this moment, but basically that's on the construction side. So that's a different bucket that in the end, maybe we might still come out the same amount.
Okay.
So do we need to vote?
Yellow line, 150 gallon tank, 12 inch line.
Yep.
Okay.
I did the research for you guys.
All right, I'll make a
That's what you want, though, right?
To you guys.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
I just wanted to read what the chief, I just wrote a story, and you guys are aware of it. And I just wanted to, okay, if it's okay with you.
Did we
Is it something that
Did
you
we
said
say-
about this?
Did
Go
we
ahead.
misrepresent him?
If the mayor's okay with it, Mayor, you
It's up to you guys. All right. I said, we contacted Chief Johnson, this was just the other day, a few days ago, on the Summerfield Fire District inquired about a meeting that took place. Chief Johnson said that on Thursday the 19th, Councilman Clay emailed him to arrange a meeting. Chief Daniels and himself were present. I'll get through it real quick. He said they discussed a range of issues with the main emphasis on the water and the fire department's restricted role in the matter. During the meeting, he said, the need to design a system with the future provision of potable water in mind, especially if the town's contract with Guilford County pertains to it. He said it was vital to avoid starting a project with an undersized water tower, tank, and insufficient piping. A solitary line serving a minor section of the district is inadequate without water access and hydrants on every street throughout Summerfield. He would be compelled to continue hauling water. Hence, they have consistently lobbied for water availability at strategic water storage locations within the town, as it presents the most advantageous and cost-effective solution while improving safety for the entire Summerfield community.
Don, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
What I don't see
I think
here
that's
is
already in
that-
the news, and most of us have probably read that.
Yeah.
Is there something other than what we've already read publicly, because we need to move forward?
And nothing contradicts you.
Johnson continued, Clay said they need to act swiftly. I'm trying to get to the point here.
Okay.
Let's see, that was it. That's really what he said,
Then
okay?
we've
Well,
encompassed
he
that.
did say undersized tanks, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he said undersized tanks and the water lines for fire suppression. His idea, from another article I wrote, that he said, and I talked with him, he said that basically he preferred the water points where he could just bring his trucks
Right.
out to different locations. I should not be speaking on his behalf, but
Oh.
that is
But
our
that
conversation.
doesn't contradict what we're.
I'm just saying that's where he was at.
A long time ago, before the
Yeah.
ARPA funds came,
Yeah.
the town had $1.1 million that was given us by the state, and I think the water points that he's referring to, we were looking at using that and making different pumping stations, different places in Summerfield with those funds. Then after that, after the 1.1, is when the ARPA funds came in, it took the 1.1 to the 6.6, and that's when we changed what we were looking at to do something, because whenever that day comes, when we do tie onto another water system, we've created all these wells now, and they're useless. So it was seemed better to make a plan for the future with the big lines and whatever tank. But to do something, I think the best thing to do is put 12 inches in the ground.
What do you think about the tank size? Would you prefer big, or are you okay with the 150?
Well, I don't know where our budget is now, where the money is, but, I really just care about the 12 inches. So if you say you gotta get to 750 at some point, you gotta get to 750 at some point. We can start with 150 or 300. I know the one we originally were looking at was 320,000 gallons.
If you have the 12-inch lines, you can add another
And
tank.
we're doing 12-inch lines, and it was exactly what it shows in 12 inch.
Okay.
That was exactly what we were looking at. The only change here is going to a 150,000 gallon tank.
And can I just say, as an outsider coming in, exactly what Mayor Sessom said, when it was 1.1, I think the fire chief was involved in the discussions. I think when it became 6.6, it was written for the ARPA funds as potable, and I think that's maybe when he came out of the discussions. So at this point in time, council's looking at fire protection, because like we know, we're not going to get a potable water system for 6.6 million, not anywhere close. Council, and this is, I'm speaking as a group, and you can tell me if I'm speaking out of line or in contrast to what you're thinking, but this is what I've been getting from all of council. Your intent is for this system, down the road, if we keep growing, if we keep developing, and we get to a point where people's wells are getting affected, then we can maybe at that point require new development to hook on or do something, but you're not anticipating that coming in the near future, because we really don't anticipate another 15, 20 million coming our way for a water system
We don't anticipate that, and we don't anticipate the growth that would
That
necessitate.
would, exactly. So at this point, we're using the money to prepare for the future in case it ever comes to fruition, which we doubt it will in our lifetimes. Maybe you guys expect to live longer than I do. I doubt it's going to be in my lifetime. But I've gotten that general consensus from council that that's the point of this. Why put a tank in with 8-inch lines when 12 inch is preferable for fire? And you're gonna have to put other tanks in anyway, if you're, whether you want more fire protection or whether you want potable, you're gonna have to put in more, and we don't have those funds now. But hopefully, maybe the next stage of this process can be those tanks. He wants a tank at each fire station. Maybe it can be, if we get more money or he gets more money, we can get a tank at each station. That would hopefully be the next stage. But I think it's important for the citizens, for all of you to state what I just said publicly, is that you're not looking to affect anybody's well, and for each one of you to make that statement, you're not looking to affect anybody's well, and you're planning for down the road that may never come, and hopefully it won't come, that anybody has dry wells and has any issues. But you're planning if it does come.
I would say that this council, or previous councils, have ever done anything that would affect or impact people's wells, or even the necessity for them to tie on to this point.
And I think he said what you just said. I think that's what the mayor said.
And I was just,
So would anyone like to make
reiterating.
a motion?
I'm gonna try. Okay, I make a motion that we move forward with the water project using 12-inch lines, 150-gallon tank, 150,000-gallon tank, thank you. And follow the yellow line, what's it called?
The yellow brick road.
The yellow brick road,
Yeah.
which is a cost for redesign of $45,000. Which means that line goes from the tower down 150 to Revolution Academy. Oh, the original. Do I have to say the number?
No, because what if the numbers come back and they have to change a little bit?
yeah,
Okay.
they have to tweak it.
Okay, sorry.
Second,
So we have a motion.
second.
Are you good with that motion, Mr. Hawes?
Yeah, I think, are you doing a short, you just say, of course, with the plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Got a motion and a second, further discussion?
Just real quick, Mr. Clay, if you would check with those folks as fast as you can, whoever it is you're talking with, please initial. If there is some issue about having a 150,000-gallon tank, that we need to do something different about that, let us know ASAP so we can have some sort of emergency meeting. Just check with them quick, but
Like if they say if you go 12 inch, it needs to be 350, so we
just double check, that's all I can say.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is board terms, item B, board terms, Mr. Dawes.
Yep, that's mine, because when the discussion came up about the planning board and talking with Trudy coming off to be an alternate or whatnot, I interpreted what was said as y'all were worried about terms. On the planning board and in the, I don't have trouble with this, Mike. It says maximum consecutive terms. There is no maximum, no limit. And the way I heard it and the way I understood it was that Trudy had served and, she had served her terms and we were replacing her with somebody else. Just the way I heard it. And I just wanted to clarify it. And it's the same with the Board of Adjustments, if I understand correctly.
Yes, there's no maximum terms, but they do have a term, so council does have to vote. And if something if somebody misspoke that night, I didn't catch it, and I hope I didn't misspeak that night. But what I heard from council was that they wanted to give an alternate a chance to serve and to get the experience of serving, and they were hoping that Trudy would become an alternate. And I spoke to her, and she did not want to become an alternate, but she left it open with me that if she had the chance to come back, and I hate that I had this conversation with her now because she unfortunately was talking about maybe not being around, and that's very sad when I would think of it.
Yeah.
Since I just spoke to her a couple of weeks ago, and we laughed about it. I said, no, you will be.
Is this just to clarify
Yes,
this
yes.
document?
Just
Yes.
clarify.
Okay, any
Yes.
further discussion on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 12C, rabies clinic in Hamilton.
I'll be real quick because it's already 9 o'clock. The Guilford County Animal Services, they host these vaccinations for rabies. Lisa Lee is the Assistant Director of Animal Welfare. We have dog parks here, we've got the community center. So they have these clinics where they administer 1-year rabies vaccines for dogs and cats. They have the month of November completely open from what I understand. They typically have the event open for about 3 hours on Saturday morning or Thursday afternoon. They do the advertising, they bring the staff and all the supplies, you just have to host them. They do it at no cost. They don't charge the people or the town for the vaccinations. It's for both dogs and cats. They like to do it at a drive-through typically, so that they can set it up so you can drive through, but if it's for cats, they do set it up for indoors, so it have to go out to the community center or somewhere like that. If it's a drive-through for dogs, they can do just a dog park. But that, I just wanted to see if we can kind of gauge interest in it. It's a free service that we can offer our citizens and locals to make use of. If there's interest in it, we can have Ms. Luther or Twig work with Ms. Lisa Lee and kind of put you guys in contact with each other, and then y'all could coordinate some day in November that would work. And I'd be willing to volunteer if need be.
And I think I recall that there may be a nominal fee for the rabies.
That's not what they told me. There's no fee.
Oh, you just finally speak to somebody?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
then with the storm that just came through, I think Mr. Doggett was looking to try to find some way to help out with that. If we do something this month with that, we could coordinate that with maybe come have your animal vaccinated and with the rabies shot and drop it off with a donation for the lien or something. So, what was it?
Or monetary donation, monetary.
Yeah. So if there's interest, I don't know if we have to actually set anything now since it had to be coordinated with the animal department. But, that's something I think we could probably make a motion that we're okay with it and that you coordinate with them. And if the administration's able to do it, you all can do it.
Exactly.
Someone like to make a motion?
Well, I'll move that the town of Summerfield, Ms. Luther, works with the town manager, contact the Guilford County Animal Services, Lisa Lee, and attempt to set a date in November for Summerfield to host a vaccination clinic. Rabies clinic.
And would you want to add the dollar amount, like in case we had to fund refreshments for the volunteers? Because usually partnership events, sometimes we go in and we'll provide like the drinks or snacks. So you could tack on a couple hundred or something.
That'd be fine with me, I think, if you all.
That's fine. Yeah. What would you like to add to your motion?
Is 200 acceptable or should we go higher? Ms. Luther is 200.
Based on summer cycle, is that adequate?
Yeah, we're much cheaper at that.
Okay.
We'll do better.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second, further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item number D, under 12, community center meeting space, Mr. Fletcher.
That is me, sir. I have 2 minutes, apparently. Okay, so.
You said 3 and a
I
half.
know.
Okay, you were nowhere near that.
I got the timer.
All right, so this is just an overview of community center usage. I really wasn't able to go back any further because it's hard finding files now at Town Hall. But I was able to use this year. We've had 81 applicants use this facility that we're in right now. And of those 81 applicants, approximately 60% are non-Summerfield residents. more so, I would say, on the Greensboro side, addresses that were used on the applicant forms. So 81 applicants, around 60% of those being non-Summerfield residents. And with the help of Jeff and Dana, I was able to get some of this data, and approximately 5,000 money came in for the rental fees. We've been talking with Dana, and I do not want to put words in your mouth, but basically with the damages and the utilities and setting up and setting down, that is really net neutral. Is that accurate?
Net neutral is just the staff administration of it, and it doesn't include the, like, equipment takedown and all that. That's just staff administration, salaries and benefits, and the amount of the hours to do all of it.
Okay. We do have an agreement with the VFW and Grange that when we took over ownership of this facility in 2020, that we'd have a 15-year commitment meeting space. And that meeting space doesn't necessarily mean community center. We just have to provide a meeting space for them on a specific monthly basis. So being quick, concept. So I've met with the town council independently. I've had conversations with them. I met with the interim manager, the incoming permanent manager, about this concept, about this idea of the community center being a permanent meeting space, a permanent professional dedicated meeting space for all of the boards, all of the committees that we have, all of the councils, always have a place that it is always set up. The AV is here. It is permanent. The tables, the chairs, everything is already set up. When the prior staff, they were here, they had some concerns about the time of setting up and setting down and the equipment wear and tear that it was taking to have to put up and tear back down. And there's, we've seen this for a few years now, adding another town hall is an expensive endeavor. So this concept allows a always on social, not always, but always availability via our audio video media for anyone in the public can go in and see all the committees, all the finance, every committee, council that's going on. It's complete transparency. You don't have to worry about it not occurring. So this is a sort of a concept approach of chairs, podium, a table, staff on the other side, one of the rooms back to back being closed session. This is like an employee entrance, public entrance here. Let's see what else. Cost, upfront costs. I would recommend a concrete ramp for the other side. We can reallocate the table that we all have sat at and used and bring it over here with the chairs. And we would need some allocation of putting in what we already have, but permanently installed. So, there's my idea. Questions?
The only thing that's come up since we talked is that I know there's a couple of organizations or groups that are using this. One, I know of one. Is it still going to be available for them to meet?
Yeah, so I think the idea is still allow those ones that were committed to continue to use this meeting space.
Okay.
And I think we would still need to move chairs around when we have the voting. But we would take it basically out of service for all of general public from coming in.
And the two organizations, one of them doesn't really use it, right? And the other one hardly uses it? if at all?
Hardly uses it. They pretty much have started to use Stokesdale's facilities.
So,
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about, there's a men's group.
range.
No, there's a men's group.
He's talking about somebody.
you're talking about, that's a town function, it's our seniors.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I
our
just
senior,
want to make sure that.
yeah, our senior resources, and that's one of our programs, so yeah, we would, and actually, we could move all the senior programs here. We had talked about that years ago, potentially moving all the senior programs and having, at that point, it was before we had the management assistant, but having the management assistant run senior programming. But, you know, those are all bigger picture thoughts and
Okay.
things to roll around over time.
Okay.
I just disagree with telling, and Mr. Clay, I told you about this already, telling the community that they can't use the community center. And I think it's, I've talked to other people and they seem to like the idea of having it. I think it's good, it serves as a hub for local gatherings, and it fosters this sense of community, provides our residents with a space to connect. You know, it's a tradition. You know, I think you said, I want to say something on that board, I don't have glasses with me, but it said on that board, 60% is non-residents. You know, but I think those people who come here for a reason. Are residents joining those activities here? Do you know?
All I know is what they put on the address with the applicant.
But that
So
is.
you could assume that they're all, have Summerfield family members, and you could assume none of them are. So that, I don't think we have the information to say either way.
And
But I
a
mean-
good proportion of those that are signing up as residents, not a good proportion, but some of the people that sign up as residents actually are using somebody's,
The resident's
a
name.
resident to do it, that is just gonna be there.
Gotcha.
That's common.
You could up your price if it's the cheapest place in the world.
That's what I was thinking. This is an affordable venue option for residents, right? I got to take people around.
This is
So-
affordable.
We could up the prices. I think that's a good idea. Miss Dog it too. I just hate to see that gotten rid of. I mean, I understand that there is a need for more of a permanent space rather than just set up and take down, but I've come to find out that residents care very little for how much work that we have to do. You know? And so, they want to know what they get out of things, right? And so, you know, us saying, well, this is net neutral. I mean, well, we're a for-profit institution. So, no, I mean, I'd have to disagree on it until, I mean, I don't think anything should be done right away. In fact, I've got something on here, you know, that I've got planned to talk about a little later about community input. And I think some of these things like this, before we rip something away from the community, probably should have just a little more input from folks. I mean, it might be, you know, your idea might be actually, you know, on the mark and great. But to me, from the feedback that I've gotten so far is, don't tell the community that they can't use the community center.
I think you've said two words that's really important. I'm going to come back to, and that's community input. And right now, I would not give us a good grading on our ability to have a good meeting space for them to be able to interact, for them to see what is going on in all of our committees and all of our councils. They have not been publicized. There are smaller towns than us that are doing a much better job at getting the messaging out there so they can see in the comfort of their own home or on their even mobile phone of what's going on because they can't make it here. I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. It's a healthy discussion. But I think it's also a service that we're missing that we should be providing. Let me finish. We're not a paper town. There's a lot of other towns around us that have professional facilities that just for their committees and their councils and their boards and some of the others, the seniors, that they have. This is just an idea. I would like to see it come to fruition, but if it doesn't, and it stays a community center for the entire public in Greensboro to use, so be it. But I think it's a good idea.
So I guess was your intent tonight just to introduce the idea to,
And just see how far it sticks.
introduce everybody?
I don't understand what you
What was
said.
your intention?
My intention was to present the data, get a healthy discussion over it, and I mean, I can make a motion and see where it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
But you said, what's the first thing you said you argued a second ago? You said people need to be able to have a place to come to for the meetings? Is that what you said?
So I said that people need to see and be interactive with our meeting. They need to know what's going on.
Well, yeah, but I don't understand how, the meeting will still be here where we're sitting now, right?
We
He's
are.
not talking about just our meetings, he's talking about
So,
Well, the
all
committee's
the
working.
who's-
meetings.
And they'll be
let me ask you a question. Who's recording this right now?
Was I asking?
Right,
So,
so,
no, let me ask you a question. Who is recording this?
well, I was going to answer you, you got me off.
Okay.
Well, you know, Mr. Wendelken is here recording that, right? I think Mr. Wendelken, you're recording,
Yes,
Got a recorder as well.
and you got to
So-
record this.
So,
Right.
so.
He's got
let's
audio.
observe.
So, but I don't really see people even knocking down the door here to get in.
Well,
I like the idea.
what I think your future idea is, I don't know that I would say that,
Tell us about it.
but when you're talking about doing a town hall,
Yeah,
this is a town meeting, and this is an established meeting that's been on this date for at least 20 years,
yeah,
every month, and here we are.
yeah.
So,
And that would be a great bellwether to see.
and we did used to have it where we could, it was being recorded, and we were putting it out, and we should get back to that, and I agree with that 100%. But,
I've heard some complaints of people not being able to watch it.
I've gotten a ton of phone calls.
I like the idea. I pitched it to one citizen yesterday, and she did not like it, and I was surprised. So I definitely think, this is a good idea to float around the community and see what do the people want. Would they prefer? Yeah, it'd be
Any
easier
other-
on staff. There was, when we talked about AV equipment at town hall for committee meetings, staff said it was too complicated and they would have to have staff at all the meetings and they don't always have that, so with meetings there and here, you're not gonna get all of them live streamed, so I feel like for the citizens, would you rather everything be live streamed and be able to see everything whenever you want? Or would you prefer to have a community center that you can run?
Right. And there may be a way to live stream other things. I mean, I'm not sure what, you know, I mean, is there any way?
Maybe
to
new
live-
staff would be more cool
There might be something we can figure out.
Willing
Make sure that everything gets recorded or
to do
online.
it, yes.
Yeah.
So can we think about it, get feedback, and come back to the table?
And there are,
So further discussion?
there are other options too in terms of, you've got the basement here, and I haven't been down there, I don't know. if it-
No, we don't.
Okay.
Oh,
I haven't been down there, I don't know what it, I don't know if it's
It's
rented.
bad.
It's bad? Okay.
So any
I was
further
gonna say, could you
discussion?
renovate that?
Any further discussion or someone like to make a motion? Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Clay. I do like the pictures. I thought- Very nice. Item 12, and I'm sincere. I wasn't trying to be funny, I was sincere. Okay, just take that for sure. Item 12E, Bandera lease discussion, Mr. Dahl.
Yep. This March, we've gone on 2 years with no real increase on this house. I think we're going to get way below market value. I think we need to bring the rent more in line with the market to serve our taxpayers and help pay for some of Bandera. We can look at what's affordable in this area, and the average rent is $1,300 for a house like this. In the contract, it says that premises available to rent to local public safety personnel serving the town community up to 1 year at a reasonable rental rate, and $500 to me is not reasonable.
Is this up for renewal again? Did you?
March, this up for March.
Okay, well, yeah, I didn't think it was upon us.
I think you had just asked previously to make sure that we read it. Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what y'all told me I had to do, so.
I'd be okay with increases more in line with whatever the annual average is for this area for rental property. Maybe, I don't know.
What is the average amount of an increase?
A normal increase or a normal
A normal-
average for a house like that?
A normal
in this area?
increase,
1 to 8%.
1 to 8%?
Yep. Let's go with that one.
Was it $40? Max.
So I will say, John, you agreed to the 500 at the
I
beginning.
did,
Okay.
but it was also under the understanding that Bandera would already been a little bit further along, that he was gonna be
Right.
sort of our watchman, and, you know, that's not happening either, right at this moment. And we're getting some heat from citizens, not just Gale, but from citizens that we rented it a little too cheap. And I agree helping people, I do, but we're.
Well, it is in the attitude of helping people who are helping us. So you said he's not currently providing that, but I mean, what evidence do you?
He was supposed to provide security at Banderas during construction, is what we had talked about.
That is 9 millies.
When it was pitched, that's the way it was
Oh.
pitched to us.
Yeah, I understood it to be, hey, it's great to have somebody living there, just kind of keeping an eye on things. I didn't expect him like putting.
No.
I didn't expect him to put a uniform on and go out there and patrol the perimeter.
While the construction was going on, somebody living there just sort of an eyeball. I'm not saying walk the property, but just somebody being there.
Yeah.
It's just
So is he not he's not doing that?
during construction.
He said construction hasn't started.
Well,
That's his point.
Well, it's not the guy's fault that construction has started.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't know the guy.
I'm just bringing
But-
forward that,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not arguing the guy, I don't know the guy, I don't,
Yeah, I hate to argue over this gentleman in a public forum.
yeah, I don't know him, I don't know him.
One,
Yeah, I don't know him.
Would a 5% rate increase be too much or okay?
I mean,
What do you think? Just leave it where it is?
10% is $50. I mean, you know, we did that for a purpose, and I did it for no personal reason for that person, because I don't know that person. So I understand he's a fireman, he was a good person. It's always great if you have somebody there, somebody coming around thinking about doing something, they see a house that's lit up. I don't know if he has a dog, but maybe that would get a dog, you know, the dog barks. Dogs make people go away. I mean, they're the number one deterrent. Not all these cameras, it's dogs. So, that's another argument. I don't want to argue about
So you
anything.
think just leave it alone?
I don't, you know, when you're talking about raising that and helping to pay for Bandera, to me, those two things are so far apart.
I moved, well,
I mean, unless you're really gonna do something to put it in that range and risk it being empty, and you know, with greater cost of the people paying the greater cost comes a greater expectation.
That's true.
You know, man, this place hasn't been painted. Y'all need to come here. You know what we pay here a month?
Right.
And so, you know, I'm not against what you're saying, Mr. Doggett, but
It's a unique situation.
we're kind of in this.
So,
And
let me remove the part about helping pay for Banderas. I don't think any of us would expect to rent a property, a house, whatever, without expecting increases. Yearly.
Shoot, it's no joke that I rent and I haven't had an increase in 12 years.
I'll tell you what, I'll move this along a little bit so that we get the discussion and get it where it needs to be. I move that we keep the contract as is for the next annual period.
have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
No increase at all.
Well, I mean, you can discuss it if you don't agree.
I don't understand the point of raising it just to raise it. He's a firefighter, he's serving the community. Why are we raising it just to raise it?
I have one question. I thought that, he has and is doing, like if trees fall or something like that, that he'll go get that
He
up.
does all the work on
Right, our Parks and Rec people, we don't have anybody over
it.
there.
They had to do something to the well.
Yeah,
That's it.
we paid for the repairs that are, you know, based, you know, if it's his wear and tear, minimal, you know, he does it, but the general repairs we're doing, and we just had to pay one.
But that's the first time. It was the well.
And I don't know the history. I just know
But I
that
thought
just,
like if trees fell and stuff
Yeah.
like that, he takes care of that.
When the rock runs away, washes away, when there's heavy rains, he scrapes it all back up. He doesn't call for us to come and do anything for it.
And not only that, but renters are hard to get sometimes, good renters particularly. So if he's in there and has any trouble about it, and the issues really going on, and taking care of it, that is significant too.
do we have,
The only thing that I'm aware of was we had trouble getting him to get utilities in his name And I'm not sure that was all his
No,
problem. I think that was some outside influences that were deterring him.
he told
And the
me.
last I heard, that's been cleared up, so I'm not aware of anything.
And I actually had talked to a previous manager about getting the other house, the Gordon house, up to speed to rent to someone, law enforcement or firefighter or something also. And I mean, it's our attempt to help with affordable housing in Summerfield. And if you look at the HUD definition for affordable housing and you take the median income in Guilford County, it's right on target. And so I feel like it's our attempt of helping a little bit for our, what'd you say?
I don't think-
Workforce housing.
Workforce housing.
Yeah, I don't think we want to look at that warrant tonight, but and it's not on the agenda, so that's a good way to say it.
Keith, we put you in.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Do we have further discussion?
Can we-
Anyone else have anything else to share on the subject?
Let me, somebody brought up keeping it in good shape. I would suggest that you add something about inspecting the property, that you go in and then actually inspect it, because how do we know he's keeping it up and he's not trashing it? If we don't do
It already
manual-
says that you can go anytime you want to there. I think it gives a little bit of notice, but it always gives you the right to go to the property.
Okay,
And they have been, at least outside of the property,
so,
over time. But you have the right to go in this case.
okay, so then we should probably plan at least an annual or semi-annual inspection just to make sure
Around the
that.
time of the renewal contract, I think that'd be good. That would be completely on the administration to do that.
Any other discussion? I will call the question. All those in favor of leaving the contract in its current form, please say aye.
Um,
Those opposed? Motion carries 4-1. So I think we're at item F, under number 12, AOI discussion. Mr. Hammond.
I'll be really quick about this one. I came across the original 2012 municipal agreement involving the ANY Greenway, about how it must be connected to the Mountains to Sea Trail. And of course, I saw on there, just looking at some of the old stuff, I saw Dana's name signed as a finance officer back in 2012. And so, you know, I really just kind of asked this to be on here, just to give us some info on how this started. I mean, like I said, it's already late, so I don't think this would be as long as originally. But it's just kind of what you see accomplished since you started on there, where you see it going, are we as far along as we should be? Just your take on it.
And which contract was this you were saying?
This is the original municipal agreement involving the ANY Greenway back in 2012.
Would that be the tunnel?
I actually have it. It's somewhere here.
So I'm,
Yeah, I think that's the one that involved the tunnel.
Both of those, there was two contracts, and I had given you guys both a copy, not that I expect you to have them, but they're both ones that we addressed the day I gave the presentation about AMY.
okay.
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to see.
There was one about the tunnel, and there was one about the AMY and how far it needs to go.
And so you don't have to talk about that contract necessarily, but just since it started, you know, almost over a decade ago, closing on 15, I guess, somewhere between 12 and 15 years.
Yeah, because
How did you see it
yeah, that
start?
was about 14 years ago when the whole thing started. And I guess when discussions started, well, maybe even further back than that, because the AMY's been discussed. I know that the tunnel, we had the cost share, and the agreement was that if we didn't connect a sidewalk or trail to that tunnel, then we would forfeit the DOT's portion. And that was pretty much the agreement back then. And I know that Carrie Spencer did a lot of work working with the Guilford County. We had two individuals from Guilford County that we met with several times. We had a good group meeting consecutively about, one was getting ready to retire, and they were looking at the trails for Stokesdale, and they wanted us to piggyback on their contracts, which would have saved us a lot of money had we done that. And that was about the time I left the town, so I'm just, personally, I'm shocked that we haven't connected that tunnel when we signed the agreement, 12 years ago, that we were gonna connect to it, and we still haven't connected. So,
There's a sidewalk.
There's a sidewalk from the tunnel up to Summerfield Road.
We met that one.
that's the part, that was the
Yeah.
So that satisfies that contract?
They agreed to that.
Okay.
And I was not, yeah, I wasn't here then, but we really